one of the major work, and the first one is in Bronx.
Yes, and in my mind, and I think Jessamine will agree, that's the work in which he realizes that he can use his knowledge of architecture to build a career in the arts. So the works, they are relatively small. It's cuts that he does on the floors of empty buildings and that he puts in his truck and he takes to downtown and he shows as a sculpture. So in that beginning, there is a lot of things going on there. The work is still the object, and it's looking at what was going on around the time in terms of post-minimalism sculpture. But very soon, in the span of maybe a year or two, he moves on in a very bold way, and the work becomes dematerialized. It's not about the object anymore, it's about the void. So that's when he does the major cuts in New York City with Days End, and in Paris with Conical Intersect.
But you said that he was very politically oriented, and so what was going on in Bronx at that time?
Well, because of the Vietnam War, among other things, the economical situation of New York was very depressing, and this city progressively defaulted on a lot of the obligations with the employees. So, for example, people that collected the trash, the sanitation department, they were not receiving their salaries. So they would just let the trash pile everywhere. The city did not have money to fix the holes on the roads or to fix the bridges. So there were bridges about to collapse. There was a elevated highway that collapsed. So the city was really in disrepair. And in 1974-75, the city almost bankrupt, meaning that the city really was going to ask money from federal government, and they kind of got out of that. Yeah. They avoided that. But this is the background of these works that you see in this exhibition.
Yes, but by working in Bronx, how could it help?
Because the Bronx was perhaps the most affected area in New York.
And the most
what happened was that in the late 60s, the middle class, afraid of a lot of people coming back from Vietnam, and there was a lot of people addicted to drugs and unemployment, and there was a proliferation of gangs and violence. So the middle class in the Bronx actually moved out. They went to other cities in Connecticut, upstate New York, and in the span of maybe 10 years, there was a lot of neighborhoods in the Bronx that were completely abandoned. So buildings caught fire, there were people vandalizing the buildings. This is when the emergence of graffiti art begins, and all sort of.
So it was a way to make a focus on the Bronx.
Yes. Exactly.
And to highlight people, to highlight the crisis that was happening there, which was affecting other parts in the city, but with the Bronx it was extreme, and people weren't going there to see, whereas Gordon went there. Because a part of his critique was that a lot of contemporary architecture at the time was looking to, just work from a blank slate. So not looking to work with the architecture that existed in a place, but rather, destroy that all and build something new. Whereas Gordon saw a lot of potential in what was already there, in the history there, and if there's ways to transform that, also to be, respectful of the community that lived there and their history and their neighborhoods. So he was looking for ways to sort of take the architecture that was obsolete, that people had given up on, and find ways to transform it, to get people to look at it with a new perspective and to see other possibilities as to how we could use our urban space to really benefit the community.
Okay.